it's a privilege to be with people who are visionary and important leaders in education and in business, so I'm really looking forward to this. Rafael Reif is the 17th president of MIT, one of the true powerhouses in science and engineering and higher education in America. He became president in 2012. Prior to that, he was the provost at MIT for 7 years, I believe, something like that, during which he oversaw MIT's successful weathering of the financial crisis. I can tell you, by the way, since I'm on the board of the Stanford Management Company, that the MIT endowment has performed spectacularly over the last few years. So I'm not sure Rafael would take full credit for that, but certainly he is viewed as having managed things at MIT very well. He is also an electrical engineer, distinguished electrical engineer with a PhD from Stanford. He's been at MIT since 1980. His field is microelectronics, three-dimensional semiconductors, nanotechnology, and so on, where he's been an important leader. I think there are 15-plus patents in his name, among other things. And he has also, importantly, and I'm hoping he will speak about this, led the charge in bringing technology to education by developing these online courses. One of them, I believe, has had over 9 million unique participants, users. And this technology is not only used for sort of distance learning and making education and MIT's enormous resources available to a very, very large number of people, but it's also used to complement what MIT calls residential education. That is the use of technology effectively as a complement to the interpersonal part of education that we're used to. I just met Professor Reif, but I think it's an enormous privilege to have him here with us today. So without further ado, could you come and give us your talk?
Thank you, Michael, for that very kind introduction. And good morning, everyone. I'm truly delighted and honored to be with you this morning. Before I begin, I want to take a moment to thank a few key individuals for inviting me to join you this morning. Professor Chiwi Chen, Academic Council Chairman Michael Spence, President and Vice Chancellor Peter Matheson, and of course, my dear friend, Advisory Board Chairman Victor Fong. My thanks also go to the AGI board. My wife, Chris, and I enjoyed a wonderful dinner with members of the board last night. Your values align beautifully with the values of MIT, and so you made us feel completely at home here. When I read the vision and mission statement of AGI and the University of Hong Kong, I see words like innovative thinking, research, advancement of society, global, and engagement. Although we may come from different parts of the world, those shared values remind me that, in many ways, we speak the same language. And so I hope that what I say this morning resonates with you as well. AGI takes a global perspective. And as we look around the world, this is a time of more uncertainty than most of us can remember. Voters are redefining traditional parties. Countries are reconsidering their relationships. Societies are questioning their ideals. Institutions are reevaluating their missions. As society navigates these rough waters, I believe we must remind ourselves and the world that universities can be powerful, steady forces for good. Our institutions have lengthy records in educating leaders, answering fundamental questions, and solving complex problems through global collaborations. Now more than ever, we have an opportunity, perhaps even an obligation, to build on that record of service and to lead with clarity, confidence, and purpose. This morning, I will outline 3 areas where we believe that MIT can make a difference, and where I think research universities in general can play a vital role. By amplifying our strengths in those 3 areas, in education, research, and innovation, in service to society, we aim to remind the world that at a time when it can feel that there are just too many questions, institutions like MIT and the University of Hong Kong can help provide some very important answers. Let me start with the work that many people believe is our only mission: education. MIT has always taken a hands-on, problem-focused, and curiosity-driven approach to educating our students on our campus. But today, as technology opens pathways for universities to extend their global reach, we see new opportunities to share MIT's distinctive educational style and values with learners around the world. I will briefly describe how we responded to 2 of those opportunities and why I believe efforts like this are so critical. The first one emerged as the neighborhood around MIT was becoming a hotbed of innovation and entrepreneurship. We saw the need to better connect MIT students and faculty with their counterparts in Hong Kong and the Pearl River Delta, with its world-class strength in rapid prototyping and manufacturing scale-up. So a little over a year ago, I traveled to Hong Kong to announce the MIT Hong Kong Innovation Node. Thanks to the generous support of MIT alumni and friends in the region, including Victor Fong, the node is home to an active community focused on making and learning together. Already, we are seeing exciting activity. In June, the node launched a unique hardware accelerator program designed to bring together 24 aspiring student entrepreneurs from MIT and Hong Kong, teach them a set of core skills for innovation, connect them with successful mentors, and allow them to pitch their ideas to an executive audience. Next month, the node will give 15 Hong Kong students and 15 MIT students a 2-week immersion in the region's entrepreneurial and manufacturing environment. At MIT, we have always believed that collaboration is one of the most important skills we teach our students. Over time, the node in Hong Kong and a similar space we're creating at MIT, the William and Victor Fong Makerspace, will bring together students from both MIT and Hong Kong to tinker and test, invent and explore, try and fail, and together learn how to succeed. So we know we can make a big difference for our own students with this kind of hands-on approach to global collaboration. But I believe that research universities also have a tremendous opportunity to be leaders in digital learning, to serve students everywhere. You may know that 4 years ago, MIT and Harvard launched the open online learning platform called edX, and the University of Hong Kong became a charter member. So I don't need to convince you about the potential of digital learning. But I do want to tell you about a recent step we took to create a new way to certify learning. It has benefits for universities and employers, and especially for people striving to build their skills to get a better job. At MIT, when we assess someone who applies for graduate school, we look primarily at the student's academic record. That approach works for applicants who go to schools that we know very well. But for those outside of that familiar circle, it can be a hard one to break in. We wanted to make it easier for disciplined and motivated students from lesser-known schools to clear that hurdle. So a little over a year ago, we launched a new kind of credential for online learning, the MicroMasters. You may find this particularly interesting because the first MicroMasters we're offering is in a field that I know matters very much to AGI. It's in supply chain management. Here is how it works. Students anywhere who are interested in supply chain management register for courses online. After one semester of courses, if they do well in all their classes and score well on the comprehensive exam, they earn a MicroMasters credential. This credential alone is a benefit for the students. And if they choose to apply to the full master's program, they gain two advantages. First, they already proved that they can succeed in MIT coursework, so that can definitely help them to gain admission. And second, they can apply the MicroMasters credits to earning the full master's degree. We started with supply chain management because it gave us a perfect way to demonstrate the value this credential will have for employers. As you know very well here in Hong Kong, healthy supply chains are vital to the global economy. Victor Fung turned that insight into an entire brilliant career. All around the world, more and more companies need people who can design, manage, and operate complex global systems. And the demand for those skills is much greater than the supply. Through our new MicroMasters credential, I hope MIT can help solve that particular problem. And building on that model, I believe we can use the MicroMasters approach to help people in many other fields acquire the knowledge and skills to gain better jobs, and perhaps even to create new jobs as entrepreneurs. The second area where I believe universities need to lead today is in research, all the way from the most fundamental science to the kind of applied research that helps turn discoveries into solutions for the world's great challenges. For a university, research is an obvious assignment. But I have found that many institutions tend to emphasize either one kind of research or the other, either fundamental or applied. But I believe we can make the biggest difference for society when we emphasize both and when we foster the interdisciplinary connections between them. To illustrate, I want to talk about an MIT faculty member who has been in the news a great deal over the past week, Professor Liwei Tsai. As you may have heard, she and a team of researchers have just published the results of a groundbreaking study. MIT's Dean of Science describes it as an entirely new direction for treating and preventing Alzheimer's disease. When she joined our faculty in 2006, Professor Tsai already had an impressive reputation for fundamental research on how the brain works. But at MIT, thanks to our entrepreneurial environment and our cultural drive for societal impact and problem solving, she gradually came to see that her discoveries suggested new avenues for ways to treat brain disease. Today, as director of the Picower Institute for Learning and Memory and director of the MIT Aging Brain Initiative, she's applying her remarkable scientific findings and collaborating with colleagues in a range of disciplines to tackle the great global challenge of finding a practical Alzheimer's treatment. Worldwide, 46 million people suffer from Alzheimer's disease. The annual global economic cost, already about 1% of world GDP, is rising fast. As Professor Tsai explains, if we don't address the need for treatment now, the economic burden will soon become unbearable. And of course, for patients and their families, the cost in human suffering is beyond measure. As the world learned last week, using the latest techniques of optogenetics, Professor Tsai and her team have found that by using LED lights flickering at a specific frequency, they can substantially reduce the plaque seen in Alzheimer's disease in the visual cortex of mice. So far, this is the only technique that has ever been shown to treat the underlying mechanism that causes this form of dementia. We are clearly a long way from knowing whether this will be effective in humans, but it surely represents a very exciting advance. Professor Tsai's work embodies the paradox of fundamental science. It is painstaking, rigorous, and slow, but also electrifying, revolutionary, and catalytic. When basic science advances, society advances too. Thanks to Professor Tsai's extraordinary work in both basic and applied research, we may now have a powerful new tool to relieve human suffering and to make a better world. This example leads me to the third and final way that I hope universities can lead in the 21st century, and that is by fostering innovation, finding new and better ways to help our best ideas move from the laboratory to the marketplace. To pursue tests in humans, Professor Tsai and one of her colleagues have started a company, Cognito Therapeutics. And because a new therapy they hope to develop would be completely non-invasive and inherently safe, they have high hopes for progress. Thankfully, their research drew the interest of a visionary, private, and patient investor who is backing the company. But companies like theirs, companies that seek to develop some powerful new concept based on new science, are not always so fortunate. Too often they find that there is no comfortable fit for them in our current US venture capital system. VC funding works beautifully for startups that can reach market profitability, IPO, or buyout in 3 to 5 years. That's the case for most digital startups. But the VC system is not as well geared to support breakthrough technologies built on new science and engineering, which typically take more time. MIT has been the birthplace of many transformative inventions and companies that have gone on to change the world. And the future being invented at MIT today is remarkable, with concepts like self-fertilizing plants, bacteria that can synthesize biofuels, safe nuclear energy technology, early detection and treatment of cancer and other diseases, affordable desalination at scale, and much, much more. But being able to see the future does not mean it will happen. If we hope to deliver serious technological solutions to urgent global challenges like clean water, climate change, sustainable energy, cancer, Alzheimer's, infectious disease, and more, we need to make sure that innovators seeking and working on those problems see a realistic pathway to the marketplace. To support those tough tech innovators working on big societal problems, this past October, MIT announced an effort called The Engine. The Engine is an accelerator specially geared to serve new ventures based on cutting-edge science and technology. It will offer a distinctive package of resources, patient capital, affordable local space, access to highly specialized equipment, streamlined legal and business services, and expertise from prototype to scale up. It will also connect innovators with a network of MIT alumni, like-minded entrepreneurs, and major corporations in other innovation nodes near and far. But what truly sets the engine apart is the emphasis on impact. In assessing candidate companies, it will prioritize breakthrough answers to big problems over early profit. Not everyone believes it is obvious that universities should be involved in fostering innovation. But at MIT, our mission demands that we bring knowledge to bear on the world's great challenges. And innovation is simply the most useful and effective way for us to deliver our ideas to the world. The title of this talk was Inventing the Future. At a moment when the future feels particularly uncertain, I believe today's research universities can be a profoundly important force of good if we seize our opportunities to lead by reinventing education, by pursuing both basic and applied research, and by speeding the process of innovation. As we do that, I know that we in academia will naturally draw on our long, rich tradition of openness and global collaboration. To that point, I would like to close by noting that although we have many new collaborations and relationships in Hong Kong and across China, the roots of our connections run deep. Next year, MIT will mark 140 years since welcoming our first student from China. In the decades after that first student enrolled, MIT became one of the most popular international destinations for Chinese students. Between 1877 and 1930, nearly 400 students from China attended MIT. During an era of rapid modernization, they brought new technology and science back to their home country, and they actively promoted American understanding of China and its people. In February, MIT will open an exhibit called China Comes to Tech, 1877 to 1931. The exhibit captures the early years of MIT's relationship with China, a relationship that has proven to be one of our most enduring and most productive. As we move into the discussion portion of the program, I will be interested to hear your views on how we might build on this long shared history, so that together we can invent a future rich in opportunity and growth for our institutions, our nations, and the world. I want us to find and explore new ways to collaborate in education, research, and innovation to make a better world. Thank you.